This is a racing motorcycle, a very beautiful racing motorcycle. It also happens to be one of the most unorthodox motorcycles ever. And it's the design of one man, John Britten, and he made it in his garage in Christchurch, New Zealand. That motorcycle won this year's Battle of the Bears at the legendary Daytona Raceway in Florida. A victory that was the product of a unique ability and dedication that owes much to New Zealand's geography and culture. John Britten is an engineer. He built his own house largely from recycled materials, but he wasn't happy with just that. He designed and made his own fitments, right down to the taps and the door handles.
I was single, and I just worked 18 hours days for 7 days a week for all those years, but it was almost trying to prove, I think, in a way that you didn't need money, that, you know, skill or hard work or what, you know, we could, in some ways, replace it. The bike's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's a high-quality product built on a shoestring.
The quality comes from John's ability to think radically and then bring his ideas to life with the help of a few friends and the support of his wife and family.
I think that has something to do with the Kiwi attitude of you can do anything and you can do it in your backyard, and I think that's a really special mentality and something that we ought to treasure in ourselves.
The method may look simple, the technology is anything but. As much as possible of the Britten is built from carbon fibre, including the chassis, engine components, front suspension and even the wheels. And the carbon fibre starts as thread, not woven cloth.
I've only bought one roll of this and I've built 3 motorbikes out of it. Still got a bit left.
As the bike takes shape, it's astonishing to note that virtually all of it has been designed and built in New Zealand by John and his small team. Some 6,000 to 7,000 components, including the 1000cc V-twin engine. And sometimes things go wrong.
I don't believe it. It's water. Excuse me. Get some more water from the swimming pool. I can't believe it.
Thankfully, the bungled heat treatment didn't damage the crankcase casting, and after months of work, the bike was finally ready for a test run. Hopes were high, but disaster was waiting. The carbon fibre front fork had collapsed, and test rider Chris Haldane was lucky to escape serious injury. Daytona was less than 8 weeks away.
Oh, that was the worst experience. It was a devastating thing for me. I just about gave up. I had given up for 6 or 8 hours. I'd canned the whole project.
But you can't keep a good man down, not for long. And after a minor redesign of the forks, Andrew Stroud was able to test the bike successfully before it was flown out to Florida, bang on time for Speed Week. There, practice was looking promising until Andrew came in with a water leak. It looked serious, and it was serious, because if he didn't qualify, he couldn't race. So with the radiator brimming, he charged round for 2 laps to set a time, praying all the time that the engine didn't explode. Then it was necessary to find the fault and correct it overnight. It could have been easy, but it wasn't. A cracked cylinder liner on a unique engine 10,000 miles from home. The final, desperate solution was to weld it up and hope that it held through the race. That's if it could be put back together in time.
That particular day, I think Harry clocked it up. It was 47 hours we worked without a stop, or something like that. And we wheeled the bike out to the racetrack at 7:30 in the morning, you know, and it was all fixed.
In the race, there was final vindication for John Britten. His bike charged through to the front and was still holding a comfortable lead with just a couple of laps to go.
Go, go, go!
But ultimate glory was denied when the bike ground to a dead halt. It was a faulty rectifier, ironically one of the few components John didn't make himself.
It broke down, Sammy.
It was so terrible when it didn't come round again. It was so terrible. And, you know, the absolute excitement of the bike toying with the leading bikes, and and having having the power to just blast them away, and then not coming around again. It was just too much, Oh, devastating.
There was nothing to do except pack up and go home and wait for the next opportunity to take on the big name, big money opposition. There were 5 wins in the New Zealand National Series that year, and then 4 world records to be set, before returning to Daytona last year for sweet victory in the Battle of the Twins, taking on the might of the Works Ducatis and beating them. Later, on the Isle of Man, it was to be the Works Hondas that John challenged, with 2 of this country's leading road racers, Nick Jeffries and Mark Farmer. In '93, the Britten recorded fastest top speed on the island, but '94 was to prove a disaster. In practice for the Formula 1 race, Mark Farmer crashed and was killed. The team were devastated, drawing little comfort from knowing that the bike was not to blame.
It is the most dangerous racetrack in the world, and it's a personal decision, and really everyone here has to abide by the decision of the rider and honour that decision and respect that decision and live with the consequences.
Nick Jeffries battled on, but the race was stopped because of unbelievable rain and cold. Andy retired in the rerun race with water in the electrics, a legacy of the previous day's downpour. But the setback didn't change his opinion of John and the bike.
John Britten is such a remarkable chap. I mean, you have to look at the bike and see that the whole machine has innovations from front to back. I've been a motorcyclist all my life, and I have to say I really admire what John Britten's done.
And what he has done is design a bike to beat the world. He's done it in one of the world's most remote locations, and most importantly, he's decided to change the very way that bikes are built. But why would anyone want to make life so difficult?
I suppose for the satisfaction, the more difficult something is, the more satisfaction you get out of it if you get a good result.